Yes, my friends, good evening. Effectively, today we have a new meeting and we have to try to, okay, just a second. Nowadays, we need to share very important subjects. Effectively, the subject matter that's gathering us today is the detox products from FUXION, which comprehends six products as what we're going to see next. But before this, I'm going to leave and come back because this square thing that appears there is bothering me a lot. I don't know how to make it disappear. Um, I think it will disappear there. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was saying that the first thing I wanted to do was to show you this functions products matrix because this matrix is the simplest way of understanding how they are organized and especially about how to recommend the products. You see on this side, on the right hand side of your screens, you can see a diagram, the famous 1, 2, 3 of function. Effectively, the first recommendation is to do this 1, 2, 3. These three simple steps. You're going to remember it very easily because it's 1, 2, 3. First of all, number one says cleaning, and effectively, number one implies products for cleaning and balance. And these products, you are seeing them here. First, there, Connex One liquid fiber, and there's also Flora Liv, which I put it in a privileged position as a source of fiber. Alpha Balance, Berry Balance, and Rixet. It's a product that's still pending for um, entering the United States. Now we have step one, which is the one that we're going to develop today, of cleaning and balance. Prior to step number two, which is the one of regeneration. Regeneration implies increasing in a sensitive way the protein profile of our daily food. That means including proteins, more proteins in our daily nutrition. Why? Because the protein demand in our body, of a person or of a person that who's not practicing sports, a sedentary person is 1 gram of protein per each kilogram of weight. However, in the current health context that the world is going through, nowadays the recommendation is even increasing since the immune system depends at a great extent of the quantity and quality of the proteins that we intake. Nowadays, nowadays specialists agree that we should increase that 1 gram of protein per kilogram of weight to increase it to 1.2 or 1.5. That means from 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per every kilogram of weight in order to guarantee the organism the regeneration process, the right regeneration process, which is step two. And then step three is the revitalization. Revitalization, where we have the products that are sources of vitamins, minerals, and even of bio-natural energy. So first of all, we're talking about cleaning and balance, and then the second, regeneration through a better protein profile in our diet. And third of all, we have the revitalization through the intake of vitamins, minerals, and natural energies rich products. Now, when I've gone through the first step, which is cleaning and balance, when I've gone through the baseline system, then we have identifying in this matrix what my main health problem is, what my main need is, or or what specific aspects of my physiology is the one I want to improve. For instance, some people may tell me, Doctor, you know what? I'm more than 60 years of age and I would like to feel younger, more full of energy. So that person will locate them in that in the anti-age system. Will recommend a person again protein or bioprotein like protein active. Will re as bioprotect or bioprotein, and will recommend extra source of energy and an extra source of fiber, as it would be Flora Liv with probiotics. If the need of this person, on the other hand, is the body weight control because it's got a little bit more of overweight, we will start recommending the fit proteins so that later on we recommend a product based on vitamins and minerals, any source of fiber as Flora Liv. And then to the consumption of these products, of these baseline products, we, as it is, I repeat, proteins, minerals, and fiber, we will add the the products on the right hand side. This is the logic of this matrix. What we've done is to organize the products according to the specific needs that we could have. Let's note something important to finish here, and it is that the products for the cleaning and balance are located inside the immune system. Why? Because from the nutritional point of view, a good clearance, cleaning of the body is essential for an appropriate functioning, for an appropriate performance of our immune system. That's why they're located here. And we've used a color that's a bit different, but really they are part of a good immune system, of a good powerful defense system, having a good cleaning process. So coming up, we'll see what products are included in the system, in the baseline system, in order to get that cleaning and balance. So the products of a baseline system or core systems are the ones that you see on screen. I'm talking about the products that are available in the United States. First of all, we have Prunex One. Prunex One is is a soft or light laxative based on prunes and fiber. This product is a soft laxative, and the logic of usage of a laxative product is to use it only when there are symptoms of constipation, where constipation is a lack of evacuation of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, lack of excretion. Those days we should recommend Prunex One. And then to down to the center we have two source products, sources of prebiotic fiber. Prebiotic fiber, it receives that name because it's the main food or source of energy for probiotic bacteria. Probiotic bacteria already live in our in, or in our bowel as part of our intestinal flora, but we'll see the reasons why we should so to speak, feed them frequently. So Flora Liv liquid fiber are sources of fiber, but not any kind of fiber, as we'll see, but prebiotic fibers. And on the right hand side, you will find two very important products also for the internal clearance. Alpha Balance for the excretion of internal fluids, essentially the blood, and to balance the internal pH. And also we have Berry Balance for the excretion on or clearance of our urinary channels. So these products are called for depuration of the body, for depurators. So we'll start the description of the makeup and the goodnesses of these products, talking about Prunex One. As I had mentioned before, Prunex One is a herbal tea with a laxative effect, with a light laxative effect, and it is part of the base um, system of our FUXION products. As I had mentioned, a good food is also part of a good nutrition, and it is also important for the performance of all of our physiological functions, including the appropriate functioning of our defense system, our immune system. This product, I can guarantee you that it has 100% natural flavor. It goes among ras- um, raspberry, and I use it as to improve the flavor of other products that I don't like much. But this product is amazing. Just to tell you, Mocha tea has a flavor that I like it, but I don't like it much. So I add a little bit, half of spoon of Prunex One to local tea, and that way I can give it a better flavor. I would say it is a delicious taste, a delicious flavor. Just try it. I add a little bit of this product to give a better flavor, and I do it with some other products. So this story, I'm telling it to you so that you realize that the flavor of Prunex One is a delicious flavor. What can I mention to you about the components of Prunex One? As you all know, the Fuxion philosophy makes us only use 100% natural active ingredients. That means all active ingredients in Prunex One come from nature. And as you all know, we are in a permanent study of the best active ingredients available out there. And that explains why Fuxion products have gone through 7 generations in their evolution. Today, we are in the seventh generation of products represented by free label products. But this makeup, this composition of our products, as I mentioned, have been changing on time because every certain time, the whole professional function team reviews the best active ingredients available and it does the necessary changes so that our consumers, our distributors, our functioners always have the best active ingredients available at that time. So much like that that coming up, I want to show you a small video, a small film where we'll see the description of some active ingredients that are considered the most important ones of natural source for the prevention and treatment of constipation. In this video, we'll watch a team of physicians and biologists who are independent, who do not work for Fuxion. They are not advisors of Fuxion. They're independent, standalone professionals who are giving opinions about several active ingredients of natural source that are very used ancestrally for the constipation control. For those, for my friends who do not speak Spanish, don't worry because you have simultaneous translation of the video. It's a short video, I promise. So coming up, let's see this short video where we'll see the explanation of the main natural active ingredients for constipation, and then we'll continue mentioning about Prunex one. So let me just go ahead and set the video here, and we'll share the screen with you. So let's please pay close attention to this video. Medical board. Very good. Let's start with the block with Lorena. We have started the program. You had also mentioned that you had brought pastas, linseed, tamarind, and algae seed. And physicians were explaining to us how they work, how these dry nuts actually work, but how can we intake them? How can we consume them? Well, let's say that one of the initial foods in this process of getting to know a bit more about Spanish, the Spanish when they come to America is linseed, is grapes. These dry nuts as guindons and subsequently in the distribution of tamarind, we're talking about products that are not native from our lands. This is what Doctor was mentioning in the beginning, and it's a great product that we can also use. But that this product now starting from the protein component, the mucilages that it has, they're going to make the intestinal transit to be more fluid, right? And the not the shell that actually has fiber, the shell, and because the body is not going to be able to assimilate these shells, it's not going to be able to assimilate them or absorb them. So it's going to make the body to try to eliminate them, to excrete them through the movements of the bowel. And if it is in presence of water, then all of that is going to be excreted in a normal way, in a natural way, and it's not going to cause any pain. So it is very advisable to use these products. This product, for example, is very these raisins are very easy to consume. We can try to intake them in the morning. They already have this mucilages that help us in our movement, and how much should I take? Just a little, just four raisins in the morning. And if you prefer, in at lunchtime, you can take four raisins also before lunch, and that way to be able to help the transit of food to be normal in our bowel, in our intestine. And another product that can help us is guindons. Some people actually grab three of these in the night and they leave it there, um, being hydrated with water. And in the morning, they just go ahead and with a glass of water, they are actually going to intake these kingdoms. And we're talking about two things there: water plus fiber, right? Both things. Yes, right. And someone may say, okay, can I do the same thing with the raisins? Yes, sure you can, because you can hydrate them from the previous night and we could drink the water. Just water is okay. Well, let's listen to the quantities. Three guindons in the evening, and it's okay. But there are some people who actually eat half a kilogram of raisins. We need to remember that raisins have a little bit of an elevated level of sugar, so we shouldn't abuse. In that case, the best thing is to consume a bit more of guindons because guindons have the presence of less sugar compared to raisins. Raisins are more sugar rich in sugar. And then here we have linseed, which is the main component of this beverage created in our country. And linseed or flax, when we cook it, is going to produce a mucilage. It's going to produce some kind of jelly, some kind of um, that can be mixed with barley, with other ingredients, and that can be also part of a beverage that we could intake it with our food. So linseed flax is amazing in order to help us prepare our fruits, our beverages. Okay, very important. What we've seen. Why? First of all, because some natural source active ingredients are mentioned. The best ones for this um, pack. They've talked about raisins. They've talked about guindons. They've talked about algae flour. They've talked about shells of some natural food, and they've talked about the linseed and the algae flour. Considered, according to this professional team, as the best active ingredients or seaweed. What is the problem with raisins? The high content of sugar. That's the counterpart, and that actually makes them not to be that advisable in regards to their daily intake because they can help us with constipation, but at the same time, they can induce overweight. So this knowledge had been gathered years before at FUXION in our professional team, and that's why, as we always say, we use the best active ingredients. First of all, or prunes, as what they're called in English. So these prunes are a fiber-rich fruit, but besides, they have some components or some carbohydrated source. And don't get scared because they may be carbohydrates, but the intake of carbohydrate is minimum. So don't worry about that. But these carbohydrates, along with fiber, stimulate at a great extent the intestinal movement. They facilitate the intestinal movement, which is key for preventing and treating constipation. When our intestine does its peristaltic movement in a regular way, in a healthy way, well, that is the way how we can avoid or we can leave a constipation picture. On the other hand, we have here psyllium or or psyllium. Psyllium is actually this fiber that we get from a plant from from plantago seed, and this seed precisely have this kind of fiber. You see that they contribute 10 times more soluble fiber than oat bran. And besides, it helps reduce flatulence and abdominal bloating. So this psyllium is some kind of very common fiber used for um, irritable colon. So it's very important for the prevention of constipation. Now to your left we have kelp. What is kelp? Is an algae. Remember that in the video they mentioned the seaweed meal. Well, kelp is some kind of um, seaweed meal rich in vitamins, minerals, and mucilage. This mucilage is important to induce intestinal evacuations. And finally, to your right hand side, in the formula of a product, you'll be able to find more ingredients. But what we have seen in the video, we have the linseed mucilage. As what you mentioned, or as what it was mentioned, it produces some kind of algae that facilitates a proper rhythm, a healthy rhythm of intestinal evacuations. So you see, the four most important natural source active ingredients, according to experts, as the most important ones, they're included in the Prunex one formula, and that is the reason why FUXION has created this product. As what my colleague was saying, Dr. Cabrera said we could take three prunes and put them in a glass to hydrate in the evening and to drink it in the following day, or to put some um, raisins and to put the seaweed meal. And of course, in order for you to get a seaweed meal, you need to go to the market and then try to grind it and so on and so forth. What we do at Fuxion through biotechnology is to provide you with all these natural active ingredients already concentrated and stabilized and ready for its consumption, even combined in the proper conditions in order to give you the maximum effectiveness. So I think after watching the video and after analyzing the makeup of a product, the conclusion for all of us is that Prunex One is the best natural formula. And I'm saying it just in capital letters. Prunex One is the best natural choice for the prevention and treatment of constipation. It's not just my opinion, but as what we've seen, it is the opinion of many experts in the health arena. Then we'll see that inside the intestine, part of the mechanisms that regulate its functioning are associated to the presence of millions of bacteria at that level. In other words, human intestine is a real ecosystem that's made up by millions and millions of bacteria. So that you can realize of the width of this ecosystem, I'm just going to mention one important fact. In 1 cubic centimeter or in 1 milliliter of intestinal content, there are more bacteria than human beings on Earth. Let me repeat myself. In just 1 cubic centimeter of intestinal content, there are more microorganisms, more bacteria than human beings on Earth. And Catholics, for those who are Catholics, I can tell you that there are more bacteria than human beings on Earth, going from start back to Adam and Eve in all history. So this complexity, it shows you the complexity of a system. However, that complexity of our system generates our biome different important functions. Indeed, the intestinal movement that we talked about in the case of Prunex one, that peristaltism is also influenced by metabolites. That means substance of waste that these organisms produce, debris. These metabolites are called short chain fatty acids. These short chain fatty acids stimulate the intestinal movement. What are those microorganisms responsible for the production of this short chain fatty acids? They are a population of bacteria called probiotics. Pro means in favor of, and bio means life. So these probiotic bacteria are part of the antagonist flora. Antagonist of who at that level? Of other kinds of flora that are potentially dangerous. So in this ecosystem, there is a real antagonism among bacteria. We're going to call them good bacteria and potentially dangerous bacteria. What is the problem in order to achieve a balance at an intestinal level? The problem lays in the fact that probiotic bacteria have an important action. However, they are more sensitive to changes on diets. They're more sensitive to changes, for instance, in the weather and geographical conditions. They're more sensitive also to the changes in our uh, nervous status. It is proven that our high stress levels, can decrease or can affect the intestinal flora. And what's more important, they're more sensitive to the action of antibiotics and other medications. So this makes our probiotic flora, called that way, probiotic flora or beneficial flora, generally have the predisposition to be reduced. That's why it is very advisable to intake probiotic cultures, which can provide us with a recolonization of our intestinal environment. Recolonize. And this is essential, transcendental. Why? Because how to now we know, and let's pay attention to this, that 70% of the human being's immunity is defined at an intestinal level. 70%. And this immune role of our intestinal system, our bowel, is very closely related to the presence of bacteria. That means probiotic bacteria ensure the right functioning of our immune system, our defensive system. It's so much like that a good balanced intestinal flora could ensure up to a 70% of the functioning of our defensive system, our immune system. That is the transcendence of probiotic flora, normal inhabitants of our intestine, which is recognized nowadays. However, as I was mentioning, and this is very important in the context that we're living, because many countries, even now, people in their desperation, trying to seek for a choice for the treatment of COVID-19, they start to self medicate themselves. Let's remember all the choices that have happened throughout the time. At one stage, they talk about hydrochlorics, they, and then they talked about citromycin, and then they talked about dexamethasone, and then they talked about ivermectin, and then all of these have taken people to self-medicate themselves without being aware of the damage that they're causing to the intestinal flora, to the beneficial flora. Therefore, we are very exposed today because our immune system has been affected in that beneficial flora that regulates the intestine. That's why FUXION created Flora Liv. Flora Liv is a combination of probiotic bacteria cultures, these beneficial bacteria for the intestinal function, combined with prebiotic fiber, which is that fiber that feeds, that strengthens the cultures. So these kinds of food that stimulate prebiotics are called symbiotic products. It's a product that fits in the symbiotic category because it's got prebiotic and plus probiotic. For the formulation of a probiotic, the most important thing is to choose a probiotic stems of recognized value in the colonization of the intestine and in exercising once they're settled in our intestine to generate beneficial effects. Why am I saying this? Because, for instance, many times people talk about yogurt, for instance, yogurt that we find at the supermarket. They talk about yogurt as a source of probiotic bacteria. And indeed, it is. It is. However, those probiotic bacteria used in the dairy industry to produce yogurt are bacteria that are chosen for their technological characteristics or capabilities. I mean, those stems are chosen to give yogurt a determined level of acidity, a determined level of flavor, and a determined level of consistency. Those are the criteria to choose a probiotic stem to produce yogurt. And it's not bad because for the manufacturer, what's most important is that the yogurt is commercially acceptable. But in the field of health, in the field of health, we need probiotic cultures that are supported by studies that guarantee their action. Okay, well, Fuxion has chosen two key cultures within Flora Liv, the stem Lactobacillus casei 011 and Lactobacillus acidophilus 021, and of course with Bifidobacterium bifidum. But however, the two first stems, Lactobacillus casei 011 and Lactobacillus acidophilus 021, come back supported by a set of studies that that support their capabilities of, first of all, colonizing the human intestine. They need to have that capability. A probiotic stem which cannot populate, cannot colonize the intestine, is a stem that is not going to achieve the most important mission, which is establishing itself at that level, first of all, and to produce an antagonism against those potentially dangerous bacteria. Second of all, what we need is that they have a beneficial effect in health. The cultures that I've mentioned a moment ago, for instance, have demonstrated their action in the prevention of diarrhea in children subject to intensive antibiotic therapy. This study was performed in the main pediatric or pediatrician's hospital in Lima, in burnt children, children that were burned for different reasons, for accidents, as an outcome of accidents, of accidents.
a una
And
antibiótico
these
terapia
children are subject to a very anti to probiotic therapy to prevent infection of soft tissues. However, this probiotic therapy is antibiotic therapy is so intensive that it destroys its flora, its intestinal flora. So this product have demonstrated the capability of repopulating the intestinal flora after being subject to an intensive therapy. They've demonstrated an action of eradication of Helicobacter pylori, which is the causing of gastritis. It has also demonstrated an important action in the treatment of irritable intestine syndrome. So, backed by all these studies, is that we've included these probiotic cultures in the Floralift formula. But if you were thinking that Floralift only includes in its formulation probiotic cultures, you're wrong. Floralift has a rich formula as the probiotic cultures that we saw. It's got prebiotic fiber, which is a special type of prebiotic fiber that we'll see next. But it is a fiber that gets to the intestine. It's not digested and it acts in synergy with probiotics. I told you already, it is a source of energy, a source of nutrition for probiotic cultures that are already in the intestine. You have the granadilla pulp, which is a mucilage that also calms the um, stomach acidity, and besides, it's got an incredible input of vitamins and minerals. Besides the aguamanto extract, aguamanto is also known in the United States as the goldenberry. Aguamanto is a powerful antioxidant which improve the antioxidants defense at a level of our digestive system. And finally, two transcendental minerals right now, zinc, which among its multiple functions is an important cofactor for the good functioning of the defense system, and iron. It's also important for the generation of cells in our organism, and at this time, why not to say it, they participate at a level of a bone marrow in the regeneration of our immune system. So you see the generous composition, makeup of Floraliv. Floraliv is a daily consumption product. I would say it is mandatory, compulsory to consume it every day. We can consume it in the morning or intake it in the morning when we wake up with our stomach empty, we can
30
intake it
minutos
30
antes de las
minutes
12
before lunch or dinner, especially if I want to reduce my body weight,
porque
because
el aporte
the
de
input of
fibra de Floralif,
fiber
¿sí?
of Flora
Hace
Liv
que
makes that
el agua
stomach
se hinche
gets full, and
como el
when I
bolito, por
consume
ejemplo.
it 30 minutes
30
before
minutos
lunch and
antes
dinner,
del almuerzo y cena,
that
eso
generates in me
procura
a
una
feeling of
sensación de
fullness,
llenura. De tal manera que al
of
momento de tomar los
fullness.
alimentos
That
voy a
way, when
reducir
I am going to
temporalmente
have
la
lunch or
porción.
dinner, I can reduce
O también puedes
the
consumir
amount.
Floralif a
Or
media
I
mañana
can
inmediatamente.
intake Flora
La
Liv
clave
half
está en
morning, half
consumir
afternoon,
Floralif siempre con el
but the
estómago
aim is to
vacío.
consume it always with our stomach
Ahora,
empty. Now
tenemos
we have another
otro producto
important
importante
product
para la
for the
depuración
intestinal
intestinal
cleaning,
y
which
es
is liquid
fiber.
fiber. As we know, there
Como
are
sabemos,
three
hay tres
important factors
factores
for the
importantes
prevention of
para la
constipation.
prevención del estreñimiento.
Consumption of
El
water
consumo de
should
agua
be
debería ser
not less than two
no menos
liters of
de
water
2 litros
a
de
day.
agua al día.
Fiber
El
consumption,
consumo de
and
fibra,
write it down.
anoten este
It
dato,
should be
debería
no
ser
less than
no menos
25
de
grams of fiber a
25
day,
gramos de fibra al
and
día
physical
y
activity,
la actividad física,
at
de por lo
least
menos
to walk
caminar
30
20,
minutes a week,
30
30
minutos
minutes
al
a day.
día.
So
Entonces,
2
2 litros de agua,
grams, 2
25
liters of
gramos de
water,
fibra,
25 grams of
30
fiber,
minutos
and
de actividad
at least
física,
30
por lo
minutes
menos
physical
caminando.
activity.
Justamente el liquid
Liquid
fiber
fiber is
es una
this
fuente
source
de
of
fibra
fiber
que
which
Fusion
FUXION
utiliza
is
en la
inviting you
temporada de
to include
nutrición
in your
diaria
daily diet
para
to prevent
prevenir el
constipation.
estreñimiento. Y recuerda,
And
cuando se
remember, when the
aumenta
quantity
la
of fiber is
cantidad de
increased in a
fibra en la
diet,
dieta, se tiene que
also
aumentar
the
también
consumption of
el
water needs to be
consumo
increased.
de agua.
Because if I
Porque si yo
consume
consumo
fiber
la
with
fibra
low
con
amount of
poca
water,
agua,
that
más bien
is
eso sí me va a
going
provocar
to
estreñimiento.
generate constipation. So
Entonces,
the more
a
fiber
más
you
consumo
consume,
de fibra,
the more water
mayor
you must consume.
consumo de agua.
But as I have promised
Pero
you,
como les había
Fuxion
prometido,
does not
Fusion
incorporate
no
in its products
incorpora
as
en sus
Floraliv
productos
or liquid
Floralif,
fiber
Liquid
or
Fiber o Cupcake
Mocktail, as you can
en
see
pantalla,
on the screen. It has
no
not
ha
included
incorporado
any
cualquier
kind
tipo de
of
fibra
wild fiber. It
silvestre.
has
Fusion ha
incorporated
incorporado
a
un tipo de fibra
patented
patentado
type of fiber, which is
llamado
called Synergy One
Synergy One o Sinergia
or
1.
Synergy
Es
One,
una
which is
combinación
a combination of
de
inulin,
inulina, ¿sí?
which is this fiber extracted from
editorial
um,
acompañada
chicory,
de una fracción
and
de
it is
oligofructosa.
also
Este tipo
accompanied
de
by
fibra son fibras de
oligofructose
diferente
synergy.
tamaño molecular, ¿sí?
It's fibers of
Diferente
different
tamaño.
sizes, and this
Y esta
combination of
combinación de
fiber
fibra
increase its
calcula la
efficiency.
eficiencia.
This kind of
Este
fiber,
tipo de fibra está específicamente
specifically, this fiber
fibra
is
patentada
patented
bajo la
under
marca
the Synergy
Synergy
One
One o Synergia
brand,
1
and it
y
is
está
backed by
respaldada por
different studies
diversos
that have
estudios
demonstrated
que
that
han
effectively
demostrado que
it
efectivamente
favors a
favorecen un
healthy
ritmo
intestinal
intestinal
rhythm of
saludable de
evacuation,
evacuación,
intestinal evacuation, and they
favorecen
favor
unos
a
ritmos
favorable
intestinales y
rhythm of
además, fíjense ustedes que el
intestinal
valor añadido
evacuation, and they improve
mejoran la
the
absorción del
absorption of
calcio a
calcium at
nivel
an
corporal.
intestinal level. All of
Todo
that, as
ello,
I'm
como les
repeating,
vuelvo a
backed
repetir,
by studies,
respaldado por
by
estudios,
research.
¿sí?
So
Entonces,
here on your
aquí
screen, you have, for
tienen
instance,
ustedes
the references of a very important
referencias de un
study
estudio muy
performed in the
notorio
United States,
realizado en los Estados
where
Unidos,
it
donde
wa- where
se
8
administró
grams
8 gramos
of
diarios de
Synergy One were
sintergifos
administered
a 100
to
adolescentes, ¿sí?
100 adolescents. One of them received
La
fiber,
fibra
the other one
junto con
received
placebo por
placebo,
semanas después
placebo for 1 year,
y 6
and
semanas después, ¿no? A partir de 6 semanas después, la absorción de calcio se incrementó
in a
en
period of
más del
1 year,
25%,
or
además
sorry,
de
by
los
six
beneficios en el
weeks,
tránsito intestinal.
the absorption of
Pero
calcium
fíjense
was increased in
ustedes
25%.
el
So
cuidado que tiene Fusion en la
you
selección de
need to
sus
pay attention to the
ingredientes
function in its
no
ingredients.
sola y
Even
solar
prebiotic formula,
previa
which is
está
incorporated in
incorporada en
its
sus
main
principales
products,
productos,
correspond to
responde a
a
una
patent that
patente
have
y
clinical
tiene
studies that are
estudios
backing
clínicos que
its
respaldan
actions.
y
Besides, liquid
además
fiber
Liquid Fiber aporta
contributes with
magnesio.
magnesium, and
Y desde el
from the
punto de
digestive
vista
point of view,
digestivo
it
se
is well
establece
known
muy
through
bien a
studies as
través
the
de
ones that you
estudios
have on
que
screen
ustedes tienen en
that
pantalla
magnesium
que el
is a key
magnesio es un
factor, an
factor
important
clave,
factor also,
importante
in
también
order to promote
para promover un
uh,
ritmo de
a
evacuaciones
healthy
intestinales
rhythm of
saludable.
intestinal
En
evacuation.
este estudio que
Different
ustedes ven
studies,
hay
indeed,
el
in
uso
the traditional
tradicional, ¿no?
use of a very old product that have been used in Latin
Que ha
America a
usado
lot,
mucho en
probably also in the
Latinoamérica y
United States,
probablemente también en los Estados
called
Unidos, llamado
magnesium
leche
milk.
de
I don't know
magnesio.
if there must
No sé
be
si
a
habrá una
translation for
traducción
that
para leche de
in the United
magnesio en los
States,
Estados Unidos,
where
pero
pretty much
justamente
that
es el
magnesium
magnesio
is a
el
key
factor
factor
clave para promover el peristaltismo en movimiento.
is key to
Se
produce to
sabe
improve
que
intestinal
la
movement. It is
deficiencia de magnesio
understood
se
that
expone al estreñimiento.
the
Por
lack
lo
of
tanto, el
magnesium
aporte de magnesio en liquid fiber es
generates
un factor
constipation.
muy
So the presence of
importante
magnesium
que
in synergy
la
with fiber
sinergia con la fibra te
guarantees
garantiza un ritmo de evacuaciones
a very,
intestinales
very appropriate rhythm of
bastante adecuado.
intestinal evacuation. And
Y
besides,
además, la
the proportion of
proporción
liquid
de
fiber,
fibra en liquid fiber es muy
of
importante.
fiber in
Es
liquid
decir,
fiber is very important. You see
un
that
plato de
one
ensalada
plate of salad, a
pequeño,
small plate of
en,
salad, as the
en
one that
esta
we have in this
figura,
figure,
nos
in this
aporta,
picture,
dependiendo de
they
los
contribute,
vegetales que
depending
participan
on the
ahí,
different ingredients
entre
participating there,
4
they
y
contribute
5 gramos
between
de fibra.
4 or 5 grams
El
of fiber.
aporte de fibra de un
The
stick de
contribution of
liquid
liquid
fiber
fiber
es
is
de
4.2 grams of
4.2
fiber.
gramos de fibra.
You see,
Entonces, fíjate tú, el
liquid
liquid
fiber,
fiber, con esto no quiero
by this, I don't
desalinear
want
el
to
consumo
discourage
de
the
vegetales
consumption of
y
the
comer
intake of
ensaladas,
vegetables,
por favor.
but
Pero si tú eres una
if you're a
persona
person
que, digamos,
who
no
is not
consume
frequently
ensalada
consuming or
frecuentemente
intaking salad, or
o
you have
tienes
very
días
busy
muy
days where you
ocupados en
haven't
los que no
had
has
any
tenido
time to
tiempo
prepare a
para
salad
prepararte tu
or
ensalada
to
o para
consume
consumir
an
una
appropriate
alimentación
food
adecuada
during the day because of
por
different
diferentes
commitments, etc.
compromisos, etcétera,
Well,
pues bien,
liquid fiber
justamente el
is
liquid
that
fiber es
source of
esa
fiber
fuente de
which
fibra que nos permite garantizar a
allows to
nuestro
guarantee
organismo
our
una
body an
adecuada
appropriate
ingesta. Recuerda que te
intake.
dije al
Remember
principio
what I
que
said at the
necesitamos
beginning. We need 25
25
grams of
gramos de
fiber
fibra
every day.
diariamente
25
con
grams.
nuestra dieta. Entonces, a partir de todo lo
So
que
from
hemos
everything we've
revisado hasta el
seen
momento,
so far,
podemos decir que
we can
el
say
liquid
that
fiber
liquid fiber
incrementa,
increases,
mejora la
improves the
función y el
balance of our
balance
intestinal
de
flora.
nuestra flora
It
intestinal.
regularizes the frequency
Regulariza la
of
frecuencia de
the
los
intestinal
movimientos
movements in a
intestinales de
natural
una
way
manera
only
natural
by
y sin
using
ninguna
fiber and water,
adición de fibra y
and
agua y
it
promueve
promotes
la salud
digestive
digestiva
function
y
and
la purificación del cuerpo, porque
the functioning
la
of our body,
fibra
because
en nuestro
fiber
intestino se
in our
comporta
body
como
behaves as a
una
sponge.
esponja. Entra la
Fiber
fibra,
comes
entra
in,
el
water
agua,
comes in,
el agua
water
ingresa a la fibra y eso hace que la
comes into a
fibra
fiber, and that makes
crezca
fiber
más
to
rápido.
expand itself.
Pero esa
But that
agua que está en
water
el
inside the
intestino,
intestine, at the
al
moment the
momento de
fiber
entrar en la
comes in,
fibra,
it
arrastra los excesos de
drags the
azúcar,
excesses of sugar, the
arrastra los
excesses of
excesos de
fat,
grasa como el
excesses of
colesterol
cholesterol,
y
and
arrastra
toxins that
toxinas
could have
que
been
podrían haber
entered
ingresado
through
por
the
la
food.
fibra.
So
Entonces,
fiber
la
captures
fibra
the
capta el
water,
agua y
water with
deposita
all
los
these
elementos
harmful
nocivos
items
y de
or
esa
elements,
manera
and this way it
depura y
cleans, it
limpia
clears
nuestro
our
intestino.
intestine. That's the
Ese es el
mechanism of
mecanismo
action
de
of
acción de
fiber.
la
That's the
fibra, ese es el
mechanism
mecanismo de
of
acción
action
del
of
liquid
liquid
fiber,
fiber,
y
which is
tiene
normally a
cierta
100%
normalidad
natural
y que
fiber. And
incluso
indeed, it
ha
has
sido
demonstrated
comprobada
action
a
through
través de
studies, and it
estudios
is
y
backed by a
respaldado por
patent.
algunas patentes.
How to consume liquid
¿Cómo
fiber?
consumir liquid
Liquid
fiber?
fiber. If
O sea,
you are a
tú
person
eres
who
una
wants
persona
to
que
take care
quiere
of your
cuidar
body
su
weight,
peso
I would
corporal,
advise
te
you to
recomiendo
intake it
consumirlo
30 minutes
30
before
minutos antes
lunchtime
del
and
almuerzo
30 minutes
y
before
30 minutos
dinner
antes de
time
la cena
with
con
enough
abundante
water
agua
to
para
achieve
lograr este
this
efecto que había
mentioned effect.
mencionado.
That
Es
means
decir,
fiber with
la
water
fibra con el agua se
gets
hincha en tus intestinos
inflated, gets
y eso también te ayuda a reducir el apetito porque ya
swollen in
tienes una cierta
or
sensación de saciedad.
in your intestine,
De
and that
manera que cuando vamos a
increases
tomar
the
los
effect
alimentos, tú vas
of
a reducir
dragging
tu
the
porción
different
porque ya sientes
um,
en avance
toxins, and
cierta
that's why you
saciedad
feel
del núcleo.
that you're full.
¿Sí?
So
Liquid fiber, al igual que Flora Liv,
liquid fiber
son
as well as
productos
Flora Liv are totally
totalmente
friendly.
digeribles,
They can be
pueden ser
consumed even
consumidos
by
incluso por niños pequeños,
even by
incluso por bebés.
little children or
Son
even by
productos
babies. They are 100%
100%
safe products and
seguros y
100% friendly products
100%
for our body.
recomendables para
I
nuestro
can
organismo
consume it
y lo
every
puedo
day
consumir
for
diariamente por
indefinite time,
tiempo indefinido. ¿Sí?
unlimited time. Now,
Ahora, de un
from
tiempo a
some
esta
time and up
parte,
to
a
now,
muchas personas, pues
many people
efectivamente
effectively
les
started to
surgió el
feel
interés por
interested
depurarse,
into
no solamente a
having a
través de la
cleaning of their
fibra o el
intestine,
agua.
not only through
Algunas
fiber and
personas
water.
fueron
Some
un poco
people
más
went
allá y
beyond and they started
comenzaron a
research and to find
investigar,
out
a
about
averiguar
different
sobre diferentes
extracts or
extractos o
detox
jugos
juices,
verdes, ¿sí?
especially green
Especialmente los jugos verdes.
juices. A lot
Muchas
of
recetas salieron a la palestra
recipes
de jugos verdes,
formulas came for
combinaciones
green juices
de
alfalfa, of lettuce,
alfalfa,
of
de lechuga, de
kabash.
brócoli, en
I mean,
fin,
a whole lot of
toda una gama de elementos naturales
elements from nature,
fueron,
I'm sorry, were
perdón,
used
fueron utilizados, ¿no?
in a
De
very
manera
important way
muy
in order to
importante
create
para crear,
different
¿no? Diferentes recetas
recipes
de
of green
extractos de jugos.
extracts, juices.
Ahora, estos
And these
jugos verdes
extracts
efectivamente son
are
saludables,
healthy, but they have some
tienen muchos
problems. First of
problemas.
all,
En primer lugar,
not all of them will
no
guarantee
todos
that
te
they have a
garantizan
good
que tengan
flavor.
buen sabor.
They may have very healthy properties effectively, but not necessarily they have a good flavor or a good aspects. And second of all, that the preparation is not always simple. They require of a lot of vegetable, green vegetable species, um, lemon, apple, alfalfa, garlic, and green leaf vegetables. And then the processing, you need to use at least a blender. And now this gave rise to the appearance of very sophisticated machinery, a very sophisticated equipment in order to prepare extracts that are more comprehensive and more delicious and richer. However, in the preparation of the extract, it could demand 10 minutes, but the assembling and the cleaning of the device could demand an hour because they were full of compartments and a set of items, um, razors and all kinds of blades and things that are taking time. And a lot of people have quit the consumption of the extracts because of how hard it is, of how much work you need to invest on it. Time, because in our daily basis right now we don't have time. So many of these very sophisticated equipment ended up in the garage or even in the trash. Fuxion has also thought of these people, and that's why it has created Alpha Balance. Alpha Balance is this concentrate of green vegetables, which includes it is enriched with algae as the spirulina and chlorella algae, the wheatgrass, gluten-free wheatgrass, alfalfa, spinach, green apple, lemon, ginger, and minerals as magnesium and zinc. So all this, which in the past took a lot of time away from you, has been resolved because Fuxion already put it all together in Alpha Balance. You see this extensive nutraceutical combination. You see this extensive nutraceutical synergy of green elements from nature, alga chlorella, alga spirulina, or spirulina alga, uh, apple, lemon contribute with fibers, antioxidants. Ginger is a source of antioxidants and natural anti-inflammatories. Anyways, it's a whole lot of a nutraceutical combination that's so simple to intake. It just opening a stick, put it into or power it into a glass of water, and just to consume it immediately. The only thing you need to wash is the spoon and the glass, because Fuxion already did all the extraction of the best elements of nature for you. This is important. Why? Because among other goodnesses, these green vegetables promote the internal pH balance in the body. You know that our body internally has a balance between acidity and alkalinity. Indeed, the internal pH of our body should be in a range, in an approximate range of neutral, 7.4, around 7 to 7.4. However, as we will see in a couple minutes, there are some factors of our daily diets that makes our body to go to be more prone to acidity, and this implies certain risks for health. First of all, because acidity in our body removes oxygen. It repeals oxygen, removes oxygen, and oxygen is a nutrient for our cells. And second of all, because cells, the abnormal cells that frequently are produced in our body, they prefer low oxygen environments and high in glucose. That's why practicing sport is very important, because when the respiratory rhythm increases, oxygenation, internal oxygenation in our body also increases. On the other hand, if we are sedentary and if our body is acid and if we besides we consume a lot of sugar, that generates a low oxygen body and rich in glucose in sugar. And that's dangerous because that can favor the abnormal cells that are potentially dangerous
potencialmente
inside
peligrosos
our body.
dentro de nuestro organismo.
What
¿Qué
factors
factores
alter or
alteran o acidifican más bien el pH
make
interno en el
our
cuerpo?
internal
Esto
pH
es lo que les
more
acaba de
acid in
mencionar.
our body?
Por
Uh,
ejemplo,
for instance,
el
the
exceso en el
excess
consumo
in
de azúcares
consumption of
refinados
refined
o bebidas
um,
azucaradas,
sugars
el exceso en el consumo de
or sugar
mantequilla,
beverages
como por ejemplo panes
like
dulces,
um,
donas,
sweets,
panqueques,
donuts,
pequeños
cakes,
expendios
which in the United States they
mucho de
used to
nuestro
consume it a
tiempo.
lot. One day I
A mí
had
me ha tocado
to have
desayunar en
breakfast in
IHOP
IHOP,
y
and
realmente mis respetos,
really
¿no? O
their
sea, son
breakfast
desayunos
like
como
to
para
consume them once
consumirlos
because
una vez porque
they're
realmente
rich in
son ricos en
carbohydrates, in
carbohidratos y
syrups, they're rich in syrups,
jarabes
they're rich in sugar,
ricos
and
en
all those
azúcar
kinds of
y
food
todo ese tipo de
effectively
alimentos efectivamente
make our body
acidifican
acid internally.
internamente nuestro cuerpo.
Excesses
Los
in the consumption of
excesos en el
alcohol
consumo de alcohol
also make our body
también
acid.
acidifican
On
nuestro
the other
cuerpo.
hand, or
Por el
opposed to that,
contrario, ¿qué
what other
elementos
elements of our
de nuestra
nutrition
nutrición pueden
can
favorecer
favor
el
the balance in
equilibrio
our
en el
internal
pH
pH?
interno?
The consumption of
El
fresh
consumo
fruits
de
and
frutas
especially
frescas
the
y sobre
consumption
todo el
of green
consumo de
vegetables.
vegetales verdes.
So again,
Entonces, nuevamente,
these elements of
estos
nature, I'm
elementos de la
talking about
naturaleza,
fruits
me
and
refiero
green
a las frutas y
vegetables,
los vegetales
take
verdes,
to
llevan
a
a un
good
buen
balance
balance en
of our
nuestro
internal
pH
pH.
interno.
That's the
Justamente
reason
esa es la
for
razón de ser de
alpha
Alpha
balance
Balance. Fue
to
creado
that's the reason why it
justamente
was created
y
essentially
fundamentalmente, diría
for
yo,
keeping the
para el
balance of
equilibrio del
our
pH
internal
interno,
pH of our body,
para
for
la
cleaning also
depuración
because
también,
many of
porque
its
muchos de los
elements
alimentos
as
como la
chlorophyll
clorofila, por ejemplo, tienen
have a strong
una fuerte acción
depurative action in our
depurativa
liver
en el
and in
hígado y en
general of
general en
all
todo
our
el cuerpo.
body. And in
En
general, that
general,
is
a eso
called
se le llama
the
un efecto quelante,
chelation
¿no?
effect.
Chelation, que es el término en inglés,
Chelation
o
effect.
efecto quelante,
They
produce un
produce a
efecto
chelation effect.
quelante.
That
¿Esto qué
means
quiere decir? Un
a
quelante, una
chelation
sustancia
substance is like an
quelante,
iron
es como un
of
imán de metales
heavy
pesados,
metals
metales como el
as
cadmio, las
cadmium,
sustancias
sulfur substances,
sulfuradas, el
arsenic
arsénico,
come
ingresan al
into our body
cuerpo
to
por
different
diferentes vías.
ways.
Un quelante es
A
como una
chelation
sustancia
item
que
is
atrapa a estos metales
like a
pesados,
magnet.
hace que las
It
moléculas
attracts the heavy
saturada,
metals
cuando está
up
saturada la
until the
molécula,
molecule is
pasa
saturated.
de la
When a
sangre
molecule is saturated,
hacia el
it goes from the
intestino para
blood to
procurar
the
su
intestine to
eliminación.
try to
Entonces, Alpha
be
Balance y
uh,
estos elementos de
excreted,
la naturaleza que
expelled.
ustedes tienen en
So
pantalla ha
this
sido creado para
alpha
el equilibrio
balance
del
was
pH
created
interno
for
y para
the
la
balance of our
depuración de
internal
nuestros
body
residuos al
and
consumir Alpha Balance.
for depuration of
¿Cuándo debo
internal
consumir Alpha Balance?
heavy metals.
Siempre
When
cuando
should I
así
intake alpha
obviamente
balance?
todos los
Again,
productos
with
para la
our stomach
depuración interna de
empty.
nuestro
All
organismo
products for
deben ser
cleaning should
consumidos
be consumed
preferentemente
with our
durante
stomach
turno de oración.
empty.
Por ejemplo,
For instance,
cuando
when
nos
we wake
levantamos
up in
por
the
la
morning,
mañana,
half
¿sí?
morning and
A
half
media mañana
afternoon,
y a media
if
tarde,
my stomach
siempre
is
con el
empty,
estómago vacío, ¿sí?
or
O
before I go to
antes
bed,
de dormir,
always with our stomach
siempre con el
empty.
estómago vacío. Y finalmente, el último producto que vamos a
And
revisar,
finally, the last product that we're going to talk about this night
esta
is
noche
berry
es
balance.
Berry Balance.
Berry,
Berry, ¿sí? O arándanos en español,
nowadays,
hoy en
there
día
is a
existe
strong
una
trend
fuerte
to the
tendencia al
consumption
consumo
of
de los
berries
arándanos
because
por
of their
sus
extraordinary
extraordinarias
properties.
propiedades. Los
Berries,
arándanos,
among other
entre otros
items,
elementos
natural items that are provided,
naturales que
elements,
encuentran,
they
dominan las antocianinas.
provide to us
Las
with
antocianinas
antioxidants,
son antioxidantes muy potentes que justamente le dan el color
anthocyanins.
y
Anthocyanins
sabor
will give,
rojizo
they're the ones that provide the
al
red
jugo, al
color
zumo
to
de
the
esta
juice
fruta,
fruit,
del arándano.
to the
¿Sí?
fruit juice. This
Berry
berry
Balance es
balance
la
is a
combinación
combination
de
of different
frutos
tropical berries
tropicales
concentrated.
concentrados, infusión de piña. Aquí estamos
Pineapple,
hablando de una sustancia muy importante
here we're
llamada
talking about a very important
catequina,
substance, which
bacterias
pineapple
probióticas,
infusion,
antocianina,
calcium and
calcio,
vitamin C
vitaminas
and
C y
E.
D.
Let's see what it is about.
Veamos de qué se trata.
We had talked about the
Habíamos
pH
hablado del pH
when we had
cuando
to talk about
nos tocó
alpha
hablar de
balance. And
alfa
effectively,
balance. Y efectivamente
pH
el
is this
pH es
measure
esta
of
medida de
acidity or
acidez
alkalinity
alcalinidad que
that
existe
happens in
en
all of
todo
our
nuestro
body.
organismo.
In all the
En todas
surfaces of a
las
human body,
superficies del
there
cuerpo
is
humano
an ideal
existe un
pH.
pH
There is an
ideal,
appropriate
un
pH.
pH adecuado. ¿Sí?
There is, for instance,
Existe, por
in
ejemplo, en la
the
capacidad bucal,
mouth
en la
cavity,
cavidad bucal
there
hay un
is an
pH
appropriate pH.
adecuado,
In the
en el
small
intestino
intestine, there is an
delgado hay un
appropriate
pH
pH.
adecuado, en el
In the
intestino grueso hay
large
otro pH
intestine, there is
adecuado.
another appropriate pH. In the case of
En el
ladies,
caso de las
in the
damas, en la mucosa
vaginal
vaginal
mucus, there
también
is
hay un
also an
pH
appropriate
adecuado. En fin,
pH. Anyways,
eso
that's
está
all
regido por nuestra propia
governed by our
fisiología.
physiology.
¿Sí? Entonces, ¿qué sucede?
Now, in the specific
En el
case
caso
of the
específico
ladies,
de las damas, ¿sí? los cambios
Our
hormonales
hormonal
o
changes
en
or
la
a very
sexualidad
active sexual
activa,
life,
el consumo
consumption of
de
medications,
medicamentos, el
in,
ejercicio intenso,
intensive
la comida
exercise or
ajustada,
workout with
la
very tight
retracción de
clothes,
la orina, por
um,
ejemplo, cuando
when we
retrasamos,
delay
¿no? La acción de
the
eclosionar u orinar,
urination
o
or the permanent
la exposición
exposure to
permanente a la
humidity or
humedad,
moisture
puede
could
modificar el
increase or could
pH
affect
vaginal,
the vaginal
causando
pH, and that may cause
infección.
infections.
Fíjense
You
ustedes,
see
aquí está la
the
tabla de la acidez y la
table of
alcalinidad. Habíamos
acidity and
hablado
alkalinity
que
here. We had said that
los
the internal
fluidos
fluids in our
internos de nuestro
body
organismo
should have a
deberían tener un
pH
pH entre 7 y
between 7 and
7.4. Eso era lo
7.5,
ideal. Sin
7.4. That was the
embargo, en la
ideal.
mucosa
However, in the
vaginal,
vaginal mucus, the
el
ideal
pH
pH is of
ideal es de
4.5. That's
4.5.
what I was
Esto les
saying,
decía
that
yo
each
que
region, each
cada
surface
región,
in our
cada
body
superficie de
has
nuestro organismo
an
tiene un
appropriate pH,
pH
an ideal
adecuado,
pH.
un pH
So
ideal.
these
Entonces, este
4.5 in the case of
4.5 en
ladies
el caso de las
in their
damas,
vaginal
el
pH
pH vaginal, en el caso de las
can
damas,
cause
puede
infections.
causar
That when that
infecciones, porque
pH is
cuando ese
elevated,
pH se
it
eleva,
favors
favorece a las
potentially
bacterias
dangerous bacteria
potencialmente
that
peligrosas
may
que
grow
pueden
in a
crecer
pH
en
above
pH por encima de
6.
6.
And besides,
Y además,
when
cuando
urine
la
gets
orina se
acidified, it
acidifica,
makes us
nos
more
hace
prone.
más
That
proclives, o
means
sea, aumenta
it
el riesgo
increases
de
the
la
risk
formación
of the
de
formation of
cálculos
uh,
renales.
kidney stones.
La
Urine should
orina
also
también debería
have
tener un
a
pH
pH of
de
6.5 or
6.5 o
7.2.
7.2.
However,
Sin
when this
embargo, cuando
urine is
esta orina se
acidified,
acidifica,
it also causes
también nos
troubles in
causa
us
problemas
because
porque
that
da
gives
lugar
rise to
a la formación de
formation of
cálculos renales. Fíjense
kidney stones.
ustedes
So you see
la
the trascendence
trascendencia,
of
¿no?
a
del
pH
pH
in the case
el
of
caso de las
ladies,
damas,
in the pH of
pH de la
vaginal
mucosa
mucus,
vaginal y
and
en las damas y en los
ladies,
caballeros en la
eh,
regulación del pH de la orina. Son
and
de
gentlemen,
repente
the
eventos que
pH
pasan
in urine,
desapercibidos en nuestra
those are
vida
things that
diaria,
happen on our daily
pero que son
basis, but they're
trascendentales para nuestra
transcendental,
salud.
essential for our
¿Sí?
lives. Besides
Además del pH y
pH and
la
regulation of
regulación del
pH,
pH,
we need to
tenemos que
mention that
mencionar que
berries
los arándanos o berries
produce some kinds
producen
of
un tipo de
natural
sustancia
substance
natural
called
llamadas
proanthocyanidins.
proantocianidinas. Ese es su
That
nombre, lo
name,
tiene escrito ahí, se llaman
proanthocyanidins.
proantocianidinas. ¿Sí?
These
Estas
proanthocyanidins
proantocianidinas
have an
tienen un efecto
antibacterial
antibacteriano
indirect effect.
indirecto.
I'm going to
Les
talk
voy
to
a
you about
explicar en qué
what it
consiste.
is, what it is about. Generally,
Generalmente
urinary
las
infections
infecciones
in
urinarias en damas y
ladies and
varones son
gentlemen are
producidas
produced
por bacterias
by bacteria that come from
que
intestinal
vienen de
flora,
la flora intestinal.
even
No
if
lo
some
crean,
people don't believe
el
that, because
70%
70% of
de
the
la
solid
masa sólida
mass
de
of
las heces fecales
fecal
está compuesta
feces
por bacterias que vienen de la flora intestinal. ¿Sí? Se eliminan muchas bacterias, pero
have
efectivamente
presence of
donde la
a lot of
bacteria
bacteria. The
mayormente
most common
presente es
bacteria
la
is the
Escherichia
Escherichia
coli.
coli, the
¿Qué
Escherichia
pasa?
coli, and
Sobre todo las
or
damas,
the E.
también se
coli.
puede dar en
It may happen
caballeros,
in
pero
ladies,
sobre
but also
todo en las damas, cuando no se hace
in men,
una
but also
adecuada
in women.
higiene,
When there's not an
pueden
appropriate hygiene, it may
permitir
happen
que
that part
parte
of
de
those
esas
bacteria
bacterias
that
que
come
salen
out
junto
along
con
with
las heces
feces
lleguen
get to the
a la
vaginal mucus,
mucosa
and
vaginal.
as the most
Y como
abundant
la bacteria
bacteria
más
is
abundante
the E. coli,
es
the E.
la
coli,
Escherichia coli,
that's the reason why
esa es
the
la
Escherichia
razón por la
coli
cual la Escherichia coli es
is
la
the
bacteria
mostly
mayormente
responsible bacteria
responsable
for
de las
urinary
infecciones
infections.
urinarias. Bacteria que están viendo aquí en la foto, esta es una
Escherichia
muy
coli is this picture that we're seeing here
buena foto
um,
electrónica
in the
de
screen.
la Escherichia
This
coli,
is a good picture
¿sí?
of Escherichia
La
coli,
Escherichia
and
coli, como
as
todas
well as
las
all other
bacterias,
bacteria have
tienen
mechanisms
mecanismos que les
that help them
ayudan
cause an
a
infection.
causar una
In the
infección.
specific case of
En el
Escherichia
caso
coli,
específico de
they
Escherichia
have
coli,
these
tiene
little
estos
hairs that you can see
pelitos
here,
que ustedes ven
which
allí,
effectively,
que
its
efectivamente su nombre
scientist's name is
científico es pili,
pili,
así se llaman,
pili, which
pili,
comes
viene de
from the
pelo
name hair
seguramente, ¿no?
in
Ese
in
pili
Latin.
son
These
mecanismos de adherencia.
pili are
Las
adherence
bacterias, la
mechanisms.
Escherichia coli sobre todo, lo
Bacteria
utilizan
especially use them
para
to adhere, to
adherirse
attach
a los
to
tejidos.
tissues.
En el caso de
In
las
the case of
infecciones urinarias,
urinary infections,
a
to
los
the
tejidos de
tissues
las
of
vías
urinary
urinarias, la vejiga, la uretra,
channels or
e
waste,
incluso puede llegar
to
a los riñones.
even the
Y esto
kidneys.
hace
And
que estas
this
bacterias sean
bacteria
muy
can be
efectivas
very
causando
effective causing
infecciones
infections.
y
And
por
on
otro
the other
lado
hand,
hacen que estas
these
bacterias sean
bacteria
de
become a
muy
very hard
fácil
eradication.
erradicación,
That
que
means
se
they
adhieren
attach
muy
themselves
bien a
very
los
well to
tejidos.
tissues.
Muchas
Many
veces
times we
recibimos un
receive an
tratamiento
antibiotic
antibiótico,
treatment. It seems
parece
like
que ya
we've
nos hemos curado,
been
que ya hemos
healed, that we've
eliminado la
eliminated the
bacteria,
bacteria
pero cuando
already. But
suspendemos el
when we
tratamiento
suspend the
antibiótico,
antibiotic treatment,
automáticamente la
the
infección
infection
reaparece
reappears
porque
because
esas
these
bacterias han
bacteria have
estado
been there
allí
attached, waiting
esperando
for
que
the effect
pase
of the
el efecto de
antibiotic
la
to go by
medicación
so
para
that they
volver
can
a
cause
causar
the
una
infection again.
infección. Por eso se
That's
dice
why it is
que
said
las
that urinary
infecciones
infections
urinarias
are
son
recurrent,
recurrentes o recidivantes,
recurring
porque se
or
pueden volver a dar.
reactivating
Pues
because
bien,
they may happen again.
¿cuál
What
es
is the
el
secret of
secreto
the
de la proantocyanidina? Lo voy a explicar de manera muy
proanthocyanidins?
sencilla. Esto es un
This
mecanismo
I'm going to try to
moleculares,
explain in
pero
a
se lo voy a
simple
explicar de
way.
manera muy sencilla. Las
Proanthocyanidins act
proantocyanidines
as
actúan
a
como un
soap, as a
jabón,
soap. Yes, as a soap.
así, como un jabón.
When these bacteria
Cuando estas
get
bacterias
to the
llegan
level, for
a
instance, of a
nivel de, por
urinary
ejemplo, de las
waste,
vías urinarias,
what
lo que hacen las
proanthocyanidins do is that
proantocyanidina
they
es
attach
adherirse a
to
a
these
estas
adherent structures
estructuras de
called
adherencia llamadas
pili.
pili, ¿sí?
They
Se
attach themselves as
adhieren
if it
como
was
si
a
fuera un
soap,
jabón y las
and
dejan,
they leave them
vamos a decirlo así, entre
like
comillas, resbalosas.
sliding,
De
sort
manera
of
como
say.
ven aquí, ¿no?
So when the
No
pili do
tiene,
not suffer
no
the
sufre
action
la
of
acción
the
de la proanthocyanidina,
proanthocyanidins, this
estos
pili
pili
can
pueden
can
ayudarle
help
a la Escherichia
Escherichia
coli
to
a
attach
adherirse
themselves
a
to
los
the tissues of
tejidos
our
mucosos
urinary
sanitarios.
waste.
Sin embargo, cuando
However,
la
proanthocyanidin
proantocyanidina se hace presente,
becomes
esta
present. This
Escherichia coli no puede
Escherichia
utilizarlo
coli,
porque se pone
this
resbalosa. O sea,
proanthocyanidins
estos
cannot
pili
do it
no pueden
because they are
adherirse
sliding, and they
eficientemente
can
a los tejidos. Y
with
como no pueden
proanthocyanidins, these
adherirse,
bacteria cannot
¿sí?
attach
Habíamos
themselves
hablado
to
aquí de un
the
componente
tissues. And here
importante
we
que
had
era
talked about
la
um,
bromelaína, que proviene de la
bromelains
piña,
that
y
comes
la
from pineapple
bromelaína aumenta la
infusion. They
diuresis.
increase the hardness, so bacteria
Entonces, las
cannot attach
bacterias no se
themselves
pueden
to,
fijar y nuestra
and our
diuresis
uresis
aumenta.
increases, and we're
Y
going to
vamos a
start to
comenzar a
actively
eliminar
eliminate these bacteria
activamente estas
before
bacterias
they cause
antes de que
an
causen
infection.
una infección.
Now, someone may ask
Ahora,
me,
alguien me
doctor,
preguntará,
and if I already have
doctor,
an
¿y si ya
infection?
tengo una
Well, if
infección?
you have an
Bien,
infection,
si ya
the
tienes una
first
infección, la
recommendation
primera
is that you
recomendación es que te pongas
go
en
to the
manos del
doctor.
médico.
The
El
doctor is going to
médico te
recommend
va a
you
recomendar
an
un
antibiotic
tratamiento
treatment that you need
antibiótico
to
que tienes que
respect.
respetar,
But
pero
many
muchos
physicians,
médicos,
besides
además de los antibióticos,
antibiotics,
recomiendan el consumo
recommend
de
the consumption of
arándanos.
berries.
Ahí entra
That's
perfectamente
where
Barry
berry
Balance, que es un
balance
jugo de arándanos,
comes in
porque
because
justamente las
it's a berries juice
proantocyanininas
because
no se oponen
proanthocyanidins
ni
do not
interfieren a la
oppose
acción del
themselves to the
antibiótico.
action of the
El
antibiotic.
antibiótico va a
The
hacer su
antibiotic is going
trabajo
to do
y
its
las
work, and the
proantocyanininas van a
proanthocyanidins are going to
ayudar
help
en
in
ese
that
trabajo.
work.
¿Sí?
So that is
Entonces,
the
ese es
mechanism
el
of action.
mecanismo de acción.
Therefore, the
Por lo
benefits of
tanto, los
berry
beneficios
balance
de
are,
Barry
first of
Balance,
all,
¿cuáles son? En
to
primer
help
lugar,
prevent
ayuda a prevenir
the fixation,
la
the
fijación, ¿no? La adherencia
attaching,
de
the
las
sticking
bacterias
of
potencialmente
potentially dangerous
peligrosas a nivel de vías
bacteria
urinarias
in
y,
the walls of the urinary
en
tract and
segundo
bladder.
lugar, ayuda
And
a
likewise,
mantener un
they
pH
help
balanceado
have a
en las
balanced
mucosas y
pH in the
también en la
mucous
orina.
and in the
Y en tercer
urine.
lugar, ayuda a
And
prevenir la
likewise,
retención
they
del líquido. Berry
eliminate
Balance,
the
como lo están viendo
excess
ustedes aquí,
retained fluids.
es un
And
jugo
berry balance
naranja,
is a
¿sí?
berries
De
juice.
delicioso sabor, un
Delicious,
sabor
it's a
perfectamente
perfectly
natural
natural
a
flavor
arándanos.
to berries.
Este producto
And this
sí
product
lo puedes
can
consumir
definitely
en
be
cualquier
consumed
momento del
anytime
día
during the day
porque es
as
refresco de
a
arándanos.
berries
Es decir,
juice.
no
Not necessarily
necesariamente
you
tienes
need
que estar
to be
buscando
seeking to
prevenir una
prevent
infección
any
urinaria o no
urinary infection,
necesariamente tienes que
or
estar
not necessarily you have to
padeciendo de
be
una infección
suffering from a
urinaria
urinary
para
infection
disfrutar de
to
este
enjoy
extraordinario sabor.
its amazing
Además,
flavor.
queda ahora que
Besides,
por lo
now
menos
here
aquí en
nowadays
Sudamérica
in
está
Latin
haciendo
America
calor,
it's very hot.
¿no? Viene muy
It's
bien, por
great
ejemplo,
to consume it
consumirlo
with
acompañado de
ice
hielo
because it's got an
porque tiene un
extraordinary
tremendo
flavor
sabor y
and
además es
besides
muy
it's very
nutritivo.
rich in nutrients.
¿Sí?
So,
Bien, amigos,
my
esta es
friends,
la
this is
información
the
que les
information that I
había
have prepared for
preparado para
this
esta
evening.
noche.
I'm
Estoy
sure the
seguro que
information
la
that you've
información
received
que han
is going to
recibido
be
les va a ser
of
de
a great help
singular ayuda en su
in your
trabajo
daily,
del
your
día
day-to-day
a
work.
día.
So
Así
I
que
just have to
solamente me queda
congratulate you and
felicitarlos y
to
aplaudirlos
applaud
realmente
for
por
the
el
extraordinary
extraordinario
work that you've
trabajo
been
que
doing,
vienen haciendo
and to
y
request my dear
solicitarle a mi querida
Christina that in
Cristina
case there
que
are
si
any
hay alguna
questions,
pregunta, por favor me la haga
send them
llegar.
over to me.
Sí,
Thank you
muchísimas
very
gracias
much
a
for
todos por
joining
haber
this
seguido esta
streaming. And
transmisión.
Christina,
Cristina,
we
estamos a
are
tus
at
órdenes.
your
Claro que
service.
sí, doctor. Qué
Definitely, Dexter.
excelente
Excellent information.
información.
You talked
Nos ha hablado de
about a lot of
tantos
products that we have
productos y
nowadays, a
tenemos
lot of
ahorita
amazing
tanta
information,
información maravillosa.
which for sure,
De seguro,
of
bueno,
course, I've
yo he
learned a lot,
aprendido
and for sure,
muchísimo y seguro
Functioners
los fusioners
also have learned
también.
a lot.
No
And
sabe cómo
you have no
en
idea about
Facebook
how many
llueven
hearts
los
are
corazones, mi
coming
doc.
through Facebook.
Qué
Well, thank you.
emoción.
Thank you
Muchas
all.
gracias a todos. Son muy
Sí, tengo
generosos.
por estar con nosotros. Tengo un par de,
Thank you very
gracias a
much,
usted
Doctor,
por
for being
estar
with
con
us.
nosotros. Tengo un par
I
de
have a couple of questions.
preguntitas.
Angie Roldan
Angie
is
Roldán
asking us
nos
from
pregunta
the
desde
chat
el
from a
chat de la
simultaneous
traducción
translation
simultánea
if prune Prunex can be
se puede
advised for
recomendar
or
a
recommended for
personas con,
people with
bueno, con
irritable
intestino
intestine.
irritable, ya
You
lo
mentioned it
mencionó, o con
already
divertículos.
with
Irritar. Ok,
irritable. Okay,
irritar. Ok. A ver,
let's start from the
vamos
beginning.
a partir del principio.
Fuction products
Los productos Fusion
are
son
created,
ideados, creados,
formulated, designed
formulados
thinking
pensando
to
en
be
ser
consumed by
consumido por
people
personas de
of
salud
average
también
health
o
or
a
apparently
esa persona.
health people. When
Cuando
I
yo
have
tengo
a
una
person with a
persona con una
disease, for
enfermedad
example, the one of an
intestinal
irritable
irritable,
intestine,
yo
I
no
cannot
puedo
predict
predecir cuál va a
what the
ser el
behavior
comportamiento
of a
del
product is
producto
going
porque
to
eso
be
va a depender
because that
del estado
depends
de
on the
salud de
health
la
status of the
persona,
person, on the progress of
el
the
avance de esa
disease, among
enfermedad,
other
entre
considerations.
otras
If
consideraciones.
if I
Si
identify
yo
that this
identifico
person
que esta persona
is suffering from irritable
sufre de
intestine
intestino irritable
and
y
this
tiene
intestine is
esto y este
this
intestino
irritable
irritable
intestine is
viene acompañado
joined by
de
constipation
síntomas de
symptoms,
estreñimiento,
first of all,
yo
we
probaría en
should
primer
always go
lugar
from
siempre de
less
menos
from
a
less to
más.
more.
Yo
I
probaría, por
would
ejemplo,
go to
aumentar el
increase
consumo
the
de
intake of
fibra a
fiber
través de
through
mucho
liquid
fiber
fiber and a lot of
y
water
mucha
to see how
agua
the
para
person
ver cómo la
responds.
persona responde.
Because, as I
Pero
said at
como
the
dije al
beginning,
principio, el
laxative
laxante
should
debe
be
ser una
a
medida de
measure of
emergencia, es
emergency,
decir,
of
lo último
urgency.
que yo debería
That's the last thing that I
incorporar.
should incorporate.
Ahora,
Now,
si
if
esta
this
persona ha
person has
consumido
consumed
liquid
liquid
fiber
fiber
y
and enough
abundante
water
agua por una
for one week,
semana
and the
y
person
no
does not
mejora
improve
su
the
proceso
intestinal
intestinal,
situation,
llegará el
that will be
momento
the
de
time to
consumir
consume
Prunex
Prunex 1,
1,
starting by
comenzando
one
con una
spoon.
cucharadita.
Half
Media
bowl
taza de
of
agua, una
half
cucharadita
a cup of
y
water
listo, para ver cómo le
and
va. A ese
spoon.
proceso de comenzar
We can
con
start
una
with
tercia
half or
cucharadita
a
o media
third of spoon.
cucharadita,
I
yo le
call
llamo
that
calibración.
calibration
Porque yo
because,
no,
as I'm
como
saying,
una persona que padece de un problema
person that
intestinal,
suffers
yo no
from
puedo
an
predecir
intestinal
cuál va a ser su tolerancia
problem,
al
I
producto.
cannot predict the
Entonces,
behavior. So
para
I'm going to
calibrarlo,
give
le
a
voy a dar
third.
un
I'm going to
tercio, le
try
voy
with
a
the
dar a
person
probar para
to
ver
see how it
cómo le
works.
funciona.
If it
Si
doesn't
no
work, but if it
funcionara,
doesn't
pero
cause
tampoco le ha causado,
any
digamos,
kind of discomfort,
ningún
any
disconfort, no
any
le ha
kind of
causado ninguna molestia
intestinal
intestinal, yo
um,
podría
problem,
ajustar
I can
a
increase from
subir
that
de ese
third of a
tercio de
spoon to
cucharadita
half of a
a la
spoon to
mitad
see
de
how
una
it works.
cucharadita para ver cómo
But
le va. Pero si
if
aparecen las molestias o las
problems
intolerancias
start or
digestivas,
digestive
será momento
intolerances
de
appear, it's
suspender
time to
el
suspend it.
consumo del producto.
But I repeat
Pero como
myself,
vuelvo a repetir,
it's not that the
no es que el
product
producto sea
is
irritativo,
irritable,
sino que esta persona
but
ya
that these
sufre
people
un
already have
síndrome,
a syndrome of
acá
irritation of
de
the
inflamación
intestine.
del
But
intestino,
of course,
¿no?
we
Pero
always
claro,
try
nosotros
to
siempre
help,
buscamos
right?
ayudar.
Claro que sí. Pregunta acá de Nitza
Okay,
Cortés.
and I'll have a question here from Nitza Cortez. Nitza is asking,
Nitza pregunta,
people who
personas
are
que toman
taking medication
medicamentos para el
for
control de
seizure controls, can
convulsiones
they
pueden consumir
intake alpha
alfa-balance.
balance?
Claro, deben estar seguramente,
Well,
claro, deben
sure,
estar
valproic
seguramente
acid
ácido
should be there.
valproico,
That's
que
the
es el
one
más
that's used the most.
utilizado.
In
En
general,
general,
I identify
identifico que
that
incluso las
even
personas
people with epilepsy who are
epilépticas
taking
o toman
valproic
ácido
acid or
valproico
any
u
other
otros medicamentos hacen
medications,
su
they
detox con normalidad,
have a normal
comen con
life.
normalidad. Y yo les he hablado siempre de que
And I've always said that the only
el único
requirement to
requisito para
intake any
consumir
Fuxion
cualquier
product
producto
is
Fusion
to
es
eat
comer de
normally,
todo.
to eat
Dicho de otra
everything.
manera,
That
la
means the person
persona
that
que
eats
come de
everything
todo
or
puede
can consume
consumir
any
cualquier
Fuxion
producto
product.
Fusion.
So
Entonces,
if this person
si esta persona
consumes
consume,
is
¿no?
anti-seizure
medicación anticonvulsiva,
medication but
lo
has a
hace una
normal
vida
life
normal
and
y
has
no tiene
no
ninguna
restrictions in the
restricción en su
food, I don't
alimentación,
see any
yo no veo
reasons not
ninguna
to
razón
consume
para que
alpha
no pueda
balance.
consumir alfa balance. Salvo mejor opinión de su médico, por supuesto. Salvo
Unless there
mejor
is a
opinión de
better
su médico,
opinion
por
from the
supuesto.
physician,
Pero
from
en
the doctor.
realidad, el
But the
producto
final product
finalmente es
is the
un
food.
alimento.
In the
En el
case of
caso de
alpha
alfa
balance,
balance
is an
específicamente, es un
extract of
extracto
green
de vegetales
vegetables.
verdes.
Now, there are some
Ahora, hay
people
personas, por
who
ejemplo, de repente
all
el
of a
médico
sudden the
le
doctor
ha
has
dado
given some
alguna
restrictions to that
restricción.
person.
De
Maybe the
repente el
doctor has
médico
said
le ha
you
dicho,
cannot consume
no puedes
chlorophyll
consumir
or you
clorofila
cannot
o
consume
no puedes consumir
vitamin K. We know that
vitamina K.
green
Sabemos que
vegetables,
los
for
vegetales
instance,
verdes,
with
por
people
ejemplo,
who are
con
taking
las personas que toman
anticoagulants,
anticoagulantes, allí sí no es recomendable
alpha
alfa
balance is
balance
not
porque
advisable
estos
there
vegetales
because
aportan mucha
these
vitamina
minerals,
K.
these alpha
Y
balance produce a lot of
en
vitamin
ese
K.
caso, por
In that
ejemplo,
case, we do not
no
recommend an
recomendamos
alpha
alfa
balance.
balance, pero no es un problema
But
del
it's not a
alfa
problem of
balance,
alpha
sino
balance,
es
but it is a
problema de
problem
la
of the medication
alimentación
of a
de la
person.
persona.
But in the case of a
Pero en el
person
caso de una persona con una
with an
medicación
anti-seizure medication,
anticonvulsiva,
there are
no se
no, if
identifica
that
ninguna
person does
restricción
not have any
alimentaria
food restriction,
aparentemente,
apparently,
como les
as I
repito,
repeat,
salvo
there's
mejor
no
opinión
problem
de su
to
médico.
intake it unless there is a better opinion from
Perfecto,
the doctor.
muchas gracias, doctor. Y vamos
Okay,
con la
doctor, let's go
última.
with the last one. Sandra
Sí,
Soto.
Sandra Soto.
Sandra is asking,
Sandra.
Sandra
Dr. Columbus,
pregunta,
for
doctor
a person that's
Columbo,
suffering
para una
from
persona que sufre de
severe
estreñimiento
constipation of
severo
up
que
to
hasta
12 days
12
without being
días
able to
no debe
evacuate,
evacuar,
what is the
¿cuál es
maximum
el
of days of
máximo de
Prunex
días de
consumption?
consumo de Prunex que se le puede
What is the maximum
¿Cuál es el
of consumption days of Prunex that can be recommended every day, parallel with the consumption of Flora Liv and liquid fiber. Liquid fiber.
Sí, a ver,
Well, yes, I had said
yo
that
les había dicho de que
laxatives in
los
general,
laxantes en general,
laxatives,
los laxantes,
even though they're
aunque
naturals
sean
or herbals
naturales,
or as Prunex
herbales como
one,
Prunex 1,
have a consumption
tienen
logic,
una
and that
lógica de
consumption logic
consumo y esa
is
lógica de
to
consumo es
consume
consumir
the
lo
least
menos posible.
possible.
¿Sí?
In an
Es
ideal
más,
world,
en un mundo
Sandra
ideal,
and all the ones that are
Sandra
listening to
y
me,
todos los que me
in
estén
an
escuchando,
ideal
en un
world,
mundo ideal,
laxatives shouldn't
los
exist
laxantes no
because we
deberían
should all
existir.
have
Todos
a
deberíamos tener
natural,
un ritmo
regulated,
natural,
healthy
regular,
evacuation rhythm. It
saludable de
shouldn't exist.
evacuación. No deberían existir. En
Anyways,
todo caso, los laxantes
laxatives
son una
are
medida de
an emergency
emergencia.
measure.
¿Sí?
Now, we're
Ahora,
talking
estamos hablando de
about
una
a
persona
person that's constipated, a
constipada,
seriously constipated
seriamente
person.
constipada.
We shouldn't lose
No debemos perder de vista que Prunex
the
1 es
idea
una,
the Prunex
es
one
una
is a
medida
nutritional
nutricional.
measure. As we
Como
saw,
vimos en el video, son
there are a lot,
componentes
most of them are food
alimentarios.
components.
Los
Prunes
guindones
are a
son
fruit,
una
are
fruta, un
a food.
alimento. Las
Algae
algas son un
or
alimento,
seaweed
como lo
are
es la
a
linaza,
food, or
como lo
linseed
es el
is
plántano,
also
¿no? O
food,
el
or
psyllium, son
all the plants
alimentos.
are that are there
Entonces,
are food.
Prunex
So
1 finalmente es una medida
our products are
nutricional.
finally a
Yo
nutritional
puedo probar
measure.
con esta
I can start
persona,
with this
voy a
person with
comenzar con
half a stick, or
hoy, por
maybe in the
ejemplo,
evening.
por la noche, ¿no? A ver,
Tonight you're
esta
going
noche
to
vas a tomar medio stick.
take half a stick.
Al
Now the
día
next
siguiente,
day,
¿te
did it
funcionó?
work?
No te funcionó.
It didn't work?
No, no me funcionó. Ok,
No, it
esta
didn't work.
noche, pues
Okay,
vas
so
a tomar
tonight we're going to take
un stick
a
completo,
complete
porque
stick.
eso
That's what
yo
I
le
call
llamo
calibration.
calibración, acuérdense. Un stick completo.
I give a
Y le
person
doy
a
un stick
complete stick,
completo.
and then the person says,
Y
no, it
de
didn't
repente me
work.
dice, no me
Okay,
funcionó.
third
Ok,
night, you're going to
tercera
consume
noche vas
two
a consumir
sticks
dos
together
sticks
before you go to bed.
juntos antes de
You're going
dormir.
to take them,
Los va a
and
tomar
it
y
doesn't
no le hace efecto.
have any effect. Particularly, I
Particularmente
am
yo soy de la
of the
idea
idea
que
that
hasta
that's
allí
up to where the
llegaste.
nutrition can get, up to there, because
Hasta ahí
that's a
porque es una
nutritional measure.
medida nutricional. Cuando,
When a person
cuando una
takes
persona
two
se toma
sticks,
dos sticks
or
de,
two
o
portions,
dos
or two
raciones
pills, or
o dos
two
pastillas
capsules,
o dos cápsulas,
double
¿no? El doble de la
of a
ración, vamos a
laxative,
decir, de un
a
laxante
chemical or herbal
químico o
laxative, and
herbal
it doesn't
y
work,
no funciona,
that's an
ese
indication
es un indicativo
that
que hay
there is
algo
something
que no
that's
está
not
funcionando
working
bien
well
en
in
ese
that
organismo.
intestine. And in the
Y en el
case of
caso de Prunex
Prunex
1,
wine, that is
esto ya
away
escapa
from
a la
nutrition. That's
nutrición. O sea, para
already
mí, dos
above
sticks en una
nutrition
noche y no
um,
te funcionó, la
realm.
nutrición
So
llega
if you
hasta
tried
ahí.
it one or two
Ahora,
in
claro,
2 nights and it didn't
Sandra
work,
ahí me
that's up
pone
to where you
con
can get.
consumo de
Now you're talking about
fibra y de
fiber and water.
agua.
Very
Muy
good.
bien,
We're
vamos a
going to
hacer
do the homework.
la tarea.
We're going
Vamos a
to
darle fibra,
provide a
vamos a
person with
darle
fiber,
agua, vamos a
water.
hacerlo
I'm going to make the
caminar
person
y
walk.
le voy a dar
And
en
in
la
the evening,
noche
I'm going to give
dos
a person
sticks completos
two
de
full
Prunex
sticks
1.
of Prunex one.
Doctor, no le
Doctor,
ha
it didn't
funcionado.
work. Dear Sandra,
Querida Sandra,
sadly, I must tell you that
tristemente debo
that's up
decirte
to
que
where
la
nutrition
solución
can
llega
get.
hasta ahí.
And that
Y
person
esa
is going to
persona
have
va a tener
to a
que ponerse en manos de
gastroenterologist
un gastroenterólogo,
because up
porque
to there,
hasta allí
I have a strong
yo sospecho
suspicion that that
fuertemente de que
person
esa
is
persona
suffering
padece
from an intestinal obstruction.
obstrucciones, ¿sí?
And the
Y
physician,
el médico, sí, el
gastroenterologist,
médico
uh,
gastroenterólogo para
physician, to
confirmar
confirm that
ese
diagnostic
diagnóstico,
or
esa
that
sospecha, va a tener que hacer una
suspicion,
endoscopía,
is
es decir,
going to do
meter un tubito
is going to do
para
a
ver qué está
test
pasando por dentro. Pero eso
through a
ya
tube
escapa a
to
nuestro
do a
ámbito de
test.
acción, porque nosotros
But
trabajamos
that's up
con
to where we can get.
alimentos,
We
con
work with
alimentos, ¿no?
nutrients, with food, but
Entonces
that
ya
has a
tiene
limit.
un límite.
And from there on,
De
that
ahí en
case is going
adelante,
to
este caso va a
um,
merecer ponerse
deserve being
en
put
manos,
in the
perdón,
hands of a
de un médico
gastroenterologist
gastroenterólogo
for
para,
a
para un
diagnose and
diagnóstico, ¿no? Y un
a
tratamiento
more
adecuado.
severe
La
treatment.
nutrición llega hasta
Nutrition,
ahí.
that's up to where nutrition can get.
Gracias,
Thank you,
doctor.
doctor. Do you have a
¿Algún
last
último
message for our
mensaje para
functionaries in
nuestros
the United
listeners de
States?
Estados Unidos?
Nuevamente felicitarlos, yo
Well,
estoy
again, I want to
nuevamente
congratulate you.
felicitarlos, yo
I'm very
estoy muy
excited with
emocionado con los
the results that we're
resultados
seeing
que vamos
every
viendo,
month,
¿no? Mes
and
a
of course
mes y
with the
por
ranks
supuesto con
that
los
you're getting
rangos
every
que
month.
ustedes vienen
And
ofreciendo
I
mes a
believe
mes
that the
y creo yo que el
takeaway that I
mensaje
gave
que
you
les di
initially
inicialmente
of
de
having
tener
trust in the product,
confianza en el producto,
you've
que
seen
ustedes han
that they
visto
are
que
premium
tienen formulaciones
formulations. You've seen
premium,
that the
ustedes han
components
visto que los
that
componentes dentro
exist
de los
inside
productos
function
suyos
products are
son
selected
ingredientes selectos,
ingredients and are
ingredientes
modern ingredients.
modernos, que
They
representan
represent the
las
best
mejores
natural choices
alternativas naturales
that are
que
existing
existen
right
en
now,
este
or that
momento o
science
que la
is
ciencia
able
es
to
capaz de
provide us with in order
proveernos
to achieve
para
the
lograr
best
las mejores
nutraceutical
formulaciones de nutrición.
formulation.
Valoren
You
ustedes
can value
este
this fact.
hecho que parece,
Functioners
claro,
are
los
already
funcionarios ya estamos
used to the word
acostumbrados a la
patent,
palabra
but the
patente,
fact that
pero el hecho de que
even
incluso
fiber
la
inside the
fibra dentro
product
del
responds
producto
or is backed by
responda o esté
a patent
respaldada
or
por
by
una
clinical
patente y por estudios
studies,
clínicos, te habla muy
speak
bien
out
de la
for
seriedad
the
con la que
seriousness
Fusion trabaja.
that Fuxion works with. It
Trabaja
works
para
to
darte
provide you
los
with the
mejores
best products
productos y el
and the
mejor
best
respaldo. Así
support, the best
que, de
backup.
verdad, yo
So the best
desde
backing.
Perú,
So from Peru, I want to give you a
quiero darte un
message of
mensaje
empowering,
de
of
empoderamiento,
total belief in
de
the product,
creencia total en el producto
and of a
y de
blind
fe ciega
faith
en
in the
los
results that we're
resultados que
going to
vamos a
get
obtener
promoting health.
promoviendo la salud,
Because
porque mi
nowadays our
trabajo
job is
hoy
to
por hoy
promote
es
health.
promover la salud, ¿sí?
Lately, I've been saying that COVID-19 that has had a disastrous effect in humanity has achieved something that I haven't been able to achieve in the 16 years that I've been working at Fuxion, which is making human beings reflect on their health. And right now, there are way many people in all the planet, trying to find the best choices for their health. And as I am demonstrating to you in each meeting, Fuxion has the best nutraceutical choices in the planet with premium ingredients, with uh, latest generation ingredients, as you've seen, prunes, the seaweed meal, linseed, and fibers that are patented by and backed by studies. A whole lot of nutraceutical ingredients that actually make our formulations. It's not a motto. It's not just an empty word. Really, we have the best products in the planet, and this is what has taken us to success in many countries, and that's what's going to take you to success in the United States too. And of course, you always have my help, my support, my trust, and my empathy, and the one of a whole team. Also, the one of my dear Christina Habri, Carlos Taro, and of a whole team that's here to help you achieve success. So let's continue to get ahead, my dear friends from the United States. Let's continue to get ahead because we are really condemned to success.
Así
Exactly,
es.
doctor. With those
Con esas
amazing remarks of our
maravillosas
dear
palabras de
Dr.
nuestro
Ivan
querido
Columbus,
doctor Iván
we will
Columbus,
say
nos
goodbye, dear
despedimos,
functionaries
querido
from the
team
United
desde
States.
Estados Unidos. Hasta
See
la
you
próxima.
soon, next week,
En las
or
próximas
in the
semanas
following weeks,
tendremos
we have
una
a new
nueva
date
fecha para una
for
nueva
another
citación.
training.
Eh,
Thank you very much
Muchísimas
for
gracias por
joining us,
acompañarnos,
Doctor
doctor. A ustedes,
Functioners.
Fusioners,
A
un abrazo
very big
muy,
hug,
muy
and we'll
grande
see you
y nos
soon,
vemos pronto.
very soon. Thanks, Christina, and thank you all.